Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have some family meals to share with you. This was done a few weeks back and I've just got 5 meals that we had one week for dinner, and I thought I would just make a video out of them all and share them all with you. Some of them I've had to sort of substitute for other things because I didn't have the meat in the store that I needed to make the recipes with. So all in all, I hope you enjoyed this video today. So the first meal is Mexican hot dogs. This was a night where my husband was cooking. So he fried the onion and capsicum first, and once that was cooked through, he put the hot dogs or the frankfurts in with a little bit of water, about a half a cup of water in the pan with the capsicum and onion. And he sort of steamed the frankfurts for about 5 minutes. And then once that was cooked, he just arranged it onto the rolls with some mustard and put cheese on top and jalapenos on ours. The children didn't have jalapenos. And then he put it into the air fryer or the oven just to cook through and to melt the cheese. This was a really delicious dinner. So the next night's dinner was Spanish-style potato tortilla with chorizo. This is definitely something that I would cook again because the whole family liked it, and that sometimes is very rare. So firstly, I'm just making a quick salad. So basically whatever I had in the fridge at this time, which was capsicum and tomato and also baby spinach is what I had. In the recipe I was following, they used rocket leaves, and they also used roasted red peppers. So basically the same thing, but I just used what I had. So I'm just finely chopping the capsicum up here because it's going to go onto the salad raw. And I always feel like if you don't have a lot of tomatoes and you just cut them into quarters, it can go a long way, especially for little kids anyway. That's enough tomatoes for them. I did have like a punnet of these, but I wanted to, span it out for the week. So I just did it that way, and that's actually enough for us anyway for a family of 4. After I've quartered the tomatoes, I'm going to get the baby spinach that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to use the rest of this bag, and I'm going to pour that into the bowl. And then I'll just arrange the tomatoes and the capsicum over the top of that. So it's just a basic sort of a little salad. Here I'm just adding a half a cup of olive oil to a frying pan and heating that up over medium heat. It does sound like a lot of olive oil, but you do need this much for the potatoes. And I'll just heat that up while I'm peeling the potatoes. I was supposed to use white potatoes in this, but I didn't have any, and I'm just using these ones, so I've got a lot of peeling ahead of me to do. And I'm using around about 1 kilo of potatoes for this recipe.
Nobody told me to settle down. Day nights and late nights don't get around. But there's something about you I like, about you I like. You're crazy for saying I should slow down, but maybe I'm escaping the love we found. There's something about you I like, about you I like. I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better. Nobody loves me better. Nobody loves me better. Guess I'm just too scared to settle down. There'd be many nights I got too high and almost left town. But there's something about you I like, about you I like. I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody
according to the recipe, the potatoes were supposed to be quartered, but I thought this would take too long, so instead I chopped them into cubes so they would cook quicker. Now I just add the chopped up potatoes to the olive oil in the frying pan, and then I basically just make sure that I keep tossing and turning the potatoes so it doesn't get too burnt and they start getting tender. This does take around about half an hour until it's golden brown. And after they've gone golden brown, you're happy with them. This is what mine turned out like at the end. At first, I was a little bit worried because they did happen to crisp up a fair bit, as you can see, and it was all crispy on the bottom. That's because of the olive oil, I'd say, as well. But it was perfect, and it made the meal like delicious. So now I'm just going to put that on some paper towel just to sort of drain the oil off it. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to chop up a half a cup of parsley and a quarter of a cup of oregano. Now, I've got this out of my garden, and I just love having fresh herbs, especially parsley, because that can go into like lots of meals. And after I finally chop the parsley and oregano, I'm just going to use this lemon here, and then it's a half a lemon rind, finely grated and juiced. Now, I can't really remember. I think I did use the juice out of it. It doesn't look like I did in this recording. I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I didn't film that bit, but the recipe says half of the lemon rind grated and juiced as well, just to let you know what the recipe says.
I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better, yeah. I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better. Nobody loves me better.
Now I'm just chopping up an onion. I've just got a brown onion. The recipe said red, but I didn't have one. So once I finely chop the onion, I'm going to put that in the frying pan. Now, once I sort of crisped up the potato, I was going to wash that frying pan out, but instead I kept it on the stovetop. So this way I could cook the onion in all the crispy bits of the potato that were in the olive oil in the pan. I really had to scrape everything off the pan first. That's why it's like a brown texture. And I fried this for around about 5 to 6 minutes. And I was supposed to add a garlic, and I'm thinking now, I don't think I did that. I don't think I had garlic at the time, so it does say in the recipe to add some garlic as well. So now I'll need to add 2/3 of a cup of grated cheese. So I'm just grating up the cheese now. I didn't have any packet one at this time, so I'm just using, just grating some up. And I'm just going to use half of that amount. And I just grated extra so I could put it into a clip seal bag to put in the fridge for another time. Now I'll move on to cracking the eggs. I love this container. I got this container from Silly Solly's, and I'm probably going to try and get another one because I usually do get 2 cartons of eggs. I'm adding the 8 eggs to the parsley and the oregano now into a Pyrex jug. And then I'm just going to whisk it all up together, really give it a really good whisk because there is 8 eggs in there. This is a really large Pyrex jug, and I really love it because I can use it for pancakes and lots of things. I've also got a smaller one too, and I find that I use the both of them. So I'm just going to put some pepper and salt in there just to season it. Once it's all whisked up together, I will then add half of the grated cheese to the egg mixture and keep the other half for putting onto the potatoes. So all that will be poured now onto the fried onion, and then I'll just give it a tiny little bit of a stir like that. And then I'm just going to basically straight away get the potatoes, and I'm going to put them all on top of the egg mixture, as you can see there. It's all going on top, and then I've got that last little bit, the half amount of cheese that I'm going to put over the top of it. So I've sort of layered it. I put the cheese into the egg, and I've also put some cheese on top of the potato. I will cook this now without stirring for 8 to 10 minutes. So it's like you're making an omelette, or until you sort of feel the base of the tortilla is firming up. And at that stage, you know, it will be still running on the top, but that's okay anyway. And you're going to transfer the frying pan now into the oven. So when you feel that it's basically cooked, except for the top is still a little bit gooey, that's when it's going to go into the oven. Make sure that you're using a frying pan that can be used on the stove as well as the oven, because if you've got handles on the frying pan that are going to melt in the oven, then that's not the sort of frying pan you want to use. You want to use one that's able to be used in the oven as well, because you do have to cook the tortilla on the top as well as the bottom. And this will be baked for 10 to 15 minutes until the tortilla is golden brown and set. So now I'm just going to chop up the chorizo. I've got 2 chorizos here, and I'm chopping these up, and then I'm just going to spray a little bit of olive oil into the pan. I was actually amazed that there wasn't a lot of oil that came out of them. I was expecting a lot of fat coming out of these sausages. I cooked them over a medium heat for around about 2 minutes either side until they were brown and cooked through. And they did get brown rather quickly as well. As you can see, they even look nearly burnt. That's probably because I left them in a little bit longer just to make sure that they were thoroughly cooked. Then I added the chorizo sausage to the tortilla, and I placed it on top of it, and I put the salad that I made previously with it. There was plenty to go around, and it was a complete meal. The next meal is meat patties with gravy, garlic bread and vegetables. This was a really easy one, but at the time when I was cooking this, it was really, really difficult to get meat on the shelves. In some places it still is. So I did cheat a little bit by buying the meat patties for this meal. So firstly, I'm just peeling 4 carrots. So I'm just using whatever I had in the fridge at the time. It could have been sweet potatoes or anything else, but I know carrots go a long way, and you know, they're always a good meal, and the kids usually do eat them. After I've peeled them, I'm just going to finely chop them up into like cubes, and then I'm going to boil them. And this will just be a side of vegetables to go along with the meat patties. So this week I'd run out of meat patties, or ran out of mince that I usually would make meat patties out of, and I managed to go to Aldi, and they had some of these on the shelf, which I couldn't believe because they had a few packets of these meat patties. So I grabbed them, and they weren't a bad price. I think they were only $6.99 they were for 500 grams. It is 500 grams of mince. There's 4 burgers, but there's 500 grams of mince for $6.99. And I would buy these again because I thought they were really nice and they were quite affordable. So instead of me cooking up just the 4 meat patties, I decided to divide them into halves so I could make 8 meat patties out of them, and they would go further. And the kids really wouldn't have eaten a big one like that anyway. They're more likely to just have eaten a small one. So I halved them, rolled them into balls, and then flattened them out again. So while I'm frying them, I'm just going to put in the garlic bread. I've just got 2 sticks of garlic bread here, but I'm just going to use one on this meal. So I'm just wrapping one of these garlic sticks in alfoil. They don't come pre-wrapped in alfoil, but I want to put one back in the freezer because we don't need two. So I'm just going to wrap one up and then I will place the other one unwrapped in the air fryer. I find it so much quicker. The other day I cooked the garlic bread in the oven for the first time in probably a year and it just took forever. It felt like it took about 3 times longer than what it takes to cook it in the air fryer. So I won't be cooking it in the oven again because I've been spoilt by how quick things are in the air fryer. So I'm just turning over these meat patties now, making sure they're brown and cooked all the way through. And then I'm just going to make up the gravy and organise the vegetables. So on this night, I only just cooked the 6 meat patties out of the 8. I left the other 2 in the fridge for the next day and then I cooked them for lunch and then we just put them on bread with some tomato sauce. I was really happy with the way that the patties turned out from Aldi. I would definitely buy them again. It was quite a quick and easy meal. This recipe is an easy chicken Parmigiana rice and salad. The reason I call it easy is because I cheated a little bit in this recipe as well because I didn't have any chicken breast. But firstly, I'm just going to run through what I'm doing here. I'm just making another quick salad with some more leftover baby spinach. And I've also just got the rest of these little tomatoes, so I'm going to chop them up. This week we did have a lot of salads, which was really good because it was really hot and you just felt like salads around this time of the year. So I'm just chopping them into halves and I'm just going to pop them on top of the baby spinach.
You should see the city lights tonight. I don't think they've ever burned this bright. Did you know when how everything would turn out? We learned to run, we learned to fight. Sooner or later, we can become strangers. Someday, somewhere, we can be new again. We can be anything that we wanted to be back then. Just wait, just wait. If I only knew how to make it true, we could write a new ending for you. You can pick and choose. All you gotta do is play the whole thing through. And if I only knew how to make it true, we could write a new ending for you. You can pick and choose. All you gotta do is play the whole thing through. I wanted to be saved before we lost our way. We were picture perfect, but below the surface, I wasn't okay. I made it look that way. I'm saying you deserved it. Sometimes it just happens that
So this is another night when I thought I had some meat in the freezer and I didn't. I thought I had a piece of chicken breast, but I didn't have any. So I went down to Aldi. That was the same day I got the meat patties, and they didn't have any chicken on the shelves. No chicken thigh, no chicken breast, which isn't a surprise at the moment. So I thought I'd go to the freezer and see what I could pick up there and how I could do this meal without like chicken breast, like fresh chicken breast or thigh. So I found these chicken schnitzels. I've never made it like this before. This would be the last thing I would think of making for chicken Parmigiana. But I went to the freezer and I grabbed these. They weren't that expensive. I can't really remember the price. You get 4 and they're quite large. So I thought I would just do it this way. So this is how I did it. I basically just cooked them in the oven. Basically cooked them till they were nearly cooked. They're not crunchy on the top, but that's how I wanted it. I didn't want them too crunchy because they're going to get soggy anyway when I pour the pasta sauce on top. And I was thinking, obviously I'm not going to cut them in half, put the cheese in the middle of it because I know that wouldn't have worked because they're not that thick. So I thought I'm just going to pour the pasta sauce over the top and try and just like make it soak through a little bit. And then I would just put the cheese on top of that as well. And that was it. That's how I made my little simple chicken Parmigianas. And they seemed to work fine. They were really good. And I thought at first I was hesitating putting the pasta sauce on because I thought maybe if I put the whole lot on, it won't soak up. So this is why I'm just sort of flicking it over and covering it all and then thinking to myself, should I pour the whole lot on? But at the end, I thought I'll just put the whole lot on and the cheese on top and see how it turns out. So they worked really well, other than, not putting it in the middle of the chicken or any other way of making a Parmigiana. Usually I do put it on the top anyway. But, yeah, I just did it this way and I had no choice really because, I did have it on my meal planner and I wanted to cook it, So, yeah, so it worked out okay. So it's not a bad way to do it if you can't get chicken breast and you can get some frozen chicken schnitzels or something like that. And I'm just using a little bit of the leftover cheese from the other night that I put into this bag. And I'll just add some of the tasty cheese. And I think I got this one from Aldi as well. I'll just put that on the top to cover it. And then I'll put it in the oven. Now, I put it back in the oven, I think, it would have been probably for another 15 minutes or so, maybe longer. And to be honest, I really couldn't taste the difference. They were really good, really quick, really easy. And, yeah, you could put more cheese on it. You could put some olives on it. You can make it any way you want. And the sauce did condense. The sauce condensed down perfectly. There wasn't too much of it. And there was enough to sort of scoop out and put on top of everyone's plate just to have some extra sauce. This was my way of getting through the chicken Parmigiana dilemma. So I did that and I cooked the rice with it. So we just put some rice on the side. And I put another salad that you saw me make. That was just going to be the side dish as well. So in a minute, you'll see it come out of the oven. And, and the kids really liked it. They couldn't tell the difference anyway. We really liked it. And I would probably do it this way again. It was a really easy sort of a chicken bake to do. I didn't know how it was going to turn out with the frozen chicken though. But that brand in particular from Aldi was really nice. It was chicken breast, so it wasn't like a grey sort of a meat, and it looked like it was pretty good quality. So, yeah, so that's what I did with the chicken Parmigianas. So on this particular night, we're having salmon and savoury sweet rice. Now, it's called savoury sweet rice. It's just a concoction that I made up that afternoon just to make things a little bit different. I had some capsicum and I also had I used some peas and some corn. And I also used some sultanas. They just got thrown in at the end just so I could make it a little bit more interesting. And, it turned out really nice. I mean, I used a basmati rice with it. And I just wanted something different with the salmon because I'm always putting rice with salmon or like some boiled vegetables or something like that. I just wanted to make it different. But the sultanas were good and the kids enjoyed the rice. They didn't find it too bland and boring. I think I even put a tiny bit of vegetable salt in there as well just to sort of season it. I always buy salmon when I get it on special. Like I buy a few big bags of it. Sometimes you can get it for like $20 a kilo for the Alaskan salmon, and that's when I buy it. I'm cooking this in the oven. My husband always likes to cooking it in the frying pan, but I'm different. I just like to put it into the oven so it's done, and I find it doesn't stick to the plate as badly as it does when you put it on the frying pan. And I find like I can monitor it a little bit better, so I can set the timer on how long it's been in there, and I can go, and do what I have to do with the kids. But when it's on the pan on the stove, I really have to watch it the whole time. So this is the way I do it. I always put it skin down first. And I don't really even put oil on there because it is a greasy fish, so you don't need the oil. And here I'm just cutting up a lemon. These come off my tree. They still look like they're limes, but they're not. They're lemons. So I'm just going to cut this up and put it on the side of all our plates, and the kids can put it on their fish and they can put it on their rice. For some reason, my kids love having fresh lemon to be able to sprinkle over their dinner. That's my family meals video today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's very hard to sort of put together a week full of delicious recipes and things like that. It doesn't always happen, and you can make all the plans you want, and some things just don't always go to plan. And that's what's happened on this week here with the meat and the chicken and everything else. But it doesn't matter because we can always throw something together. It doesn't matter at the end of the day as long as everyone's getting fed, I guess. So thank you very much for watching today. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.